Caroline, and today we are talking all things differentiation in the reading classroom. Talk about a 25-point Scrabble word, differentiation. That might be worth more than 25 points, and we know it is worth every single penny in our reading classrooms. Differentiation is so important for our learners. It's the anticipation of your students' needs, whether they're going to be academic needs, learning style preferences, content needs. Some of our classrooms are getting really large these days, and the idea of differentiating for 25 kiddos can be a really daunting thought. However, today I have 10 strategies for you in the reading classroom. These are going to help you differentiate for all of your learners without the piles of paperwork and without the hours and hours and hours that some other differentiation strategies might ask of you. My first suggestion for differentiation is all about flexible grouping. I know beginning of the year, we're looking at that data, we're popping our kids into reading groups, and it's really easy to say, and you shall be a pineapple all year long, and you, my friend, shall be a strawberry. But is that really meeting your learners' needs? When you're building those reading groups in your classroom, there's nothing that says they have to stay the same all year long or even all month long. I love building those flexible reading groups that change based on students' needs. Also, consider doing strategy groups with your students or even interest groups with your students. For that strategy group, maybe I have a whole collection of readers who really need help identifying theme. Just because they're not on the same reading level doesn't mean they can't work together to practice that skill or that strategy. Same for interest groups. Maybe you have a group of kiddos who are absolutely fascinated by sharks or natural disasters. Use that interest and create a flexible group. Sharks or natural disasters lends themselves really well to working with nonfiction text. Our groups can change, and I think it's important for our students to see that too. So consider using flexible grouping as you're planning those reading groups. My next suggestion is still considering that small group instruction. I think it's really important that we focus on the same skill across the board for our readers. Just because a group is working on a below grade level text doesn't mean that they don't need the same rigorous instruction on the third grade skill. Make sure that all of your readers are practicing your same target skill, but they can practice in reading level appropriate texts. Just because the text is a lower level doesn't mean they can't analyze the character traits or reflect on the author's purpose. By focusing on the same skill in all of your flexible groups, it ensures that all of your readers are still heading towards the same learning target, but because you're doing it on their reading level, it means that they are able to really engage, really access the text. My third suggestion today is all about differentiating reading materials. Nothing says that your students all have to be working in the similar set of leveled readers when they're working with you in small group. Why can't students be working with passages from the computer? Maybe some are reading picture books, some are listening to audiobooks, some are even exploring in online texts. I think it's so important that we open our small group instruction up to more than just leveled readers to make sure that students are being exposed to lots of different types of texts. My next suggestion does double back to the leveled readers. It is important that we do expose students to texts on their reading level. If students are only working with texts that are too easy or too challenging for them, you're not going to see the growth that you would want to see from that reading group or from a group of students that you're working with on a specific skill. So it is so important that students have access to reading level appropriate texts. But you don't want to pigeonhole your kids. If I'm only letting you pick out of the in bin in my library, think about the amount of text you're not seeing in my library. Also, for the students who read below grade level, it's really important that they do get opportunities to work with and in on grade level text. They won't get to see the same structures, the same vocabulary that they see in grade level text if they're only working in below grade level text. So, get those leveled readers into your students' hands, but please make sure it's not the only thing going into their hands. Choice is so powerful in the classroom, and choice is a really important tool for differentiation. I don't think we give our kids enough credit sometimes. They know what they can handle, and they oftentimes will choose something they can't handle and quickly realize that they can't handle it. Give your students opportunities for choice in your classroom, and I think you'll be really surprised by the decisions your learners are able to make. Maybe you're offering 3 different centers that are all assessing point of view. Let them pick which center they want to complete. Consider using choice in your final assessments as well. I've had options where students they have to pick 10 questions to answer. I give them 15, they only have to answer 10 of them, and they get to choose the 10 that they want to answer. It's also great in terms of creating or formulating a final product. Maybe your students get to choose between doing a biography, maybe they are writing a research paper and they get to choose their topic or the mode of writing that they're going to work in as they are creating a final product. Give students the options of even beyond just a typical writing piece. Maybe they can do PowerPoint slides or even film a movie to communicate what they've learned. Choice is powerful, and choice is so important for differentiation in the reading classroom. Tip number 6 is recording directions. This is great in terms of access for all readers. So anytime I'm working with a digital tool, I will record directions. In Google Slides, this is really easy. I'll just record on my phone and then share the voice file, and you can link the voice file into your slides. You can actually save it. So I'll typically have an image that my students will click on that will take them right to the directions. If you're working on different learning platforms, they will make this easy as well. For example, I know Schoology is what we use at my site, and Schoology is really easy to record instructions. I can even record myself reading passages or questions to students. By recording directions, not only are you making it so every single student can access what you're asking them to do, you're also saving yourself time because no one's going to come ask you what they're supposed to do next. Differentiation tip number 7 is all about the amount of work you're expecting from your students. Do they really need to answer all 20 questions for you to know whether they understand the different types of point of view? Change your expectations for what students are going to be doing for you in terms of work amount. One way I love to do this in my classroom is with task cards. You know we love our task cards at Not So Wimpy Teacher, but a lot of times I think the amount of task cards can be really daunting for my students who are not reading on grade level. So instead of saying answer all 20, I'll say answer as many as you can in 20 minutes, which is one of our rotations for our centers. I only grade what students do complete, and I tell them that it's okay if you don't get to all of them. I would rather you answer less and do a great job on them than rushing to try and answer all of them. There's nothing that says all of our students have to be completing the same amount of work, and I think that's a great way to differentiate for student need in the classroom. Modify how much they're expected to produce for you. Technology is such an amazing tool, and it's a great resource to use for differentiation. Let your students use technology to help them access whatever activity you're asking them to do. There are so many great online dictation tools, so maybe you have a reader who it will take them a really long time to produce in writing what you're asking of them. Why not let them dictate to the computer? Such a great tool. I also love to use Flipgrid for student assessment. They can film quick little videos that I can then go in and see, and their peers can go in and respond to. Flipgrid is another great technology tool that helps those students at every level perform the assessment task you're asking them to complete. So use technology to your benefit when you're differentiating in your classroom. Tip number 9 is all about personalized goals. I think a lot of times with that typical grading scale, we're looking at student success in terms of A, B, C, D. Whereas for some of our readers, they will not see success when compared to that traditional scale. That's why I love a truly personalized goal, and that's where pre-assessments can be really helpful. Instead of saying everyone's going to get an A or a B, why not give students that pre-assessment so you really know where they're starting, and then set a realistic goal for where you would love for them to grow to. Sharing that growth with students can be really powerful and helps them to set realistic goals as well. Also, I think it's important that goals be more than just grades in the grade book. Why not set goals for number of books students want to read over the course of the month or the 9 weeks or the semester even? Why not set goals for different genres that students want to read? I think we do a lot of goal setting in terms of grades, but we know our readers are so much more than their grades. Let them set personalized goals with you, spend that time with them, have a one-on-one conference, help them come up with some great academic reading focused goals, and then you can touch base with them over the period of time you guys decide upon to really make sure they're being successful in meeting those goals. Since they're all personalized, immediate differentiation in your reading classroom. We love to see it. My last suggestion for you today to get the differentiation working hard in your reading classroom is all about providing different assignments based on student needs. This is great if you do have that reading workshop or the centers set up in your classroom, because no one needs to know that Bobby is working on something different than Susan. Give your students different assignments based on their needs and based on what you know they can produce for you. Maybe you have 3 tiers of students. The bottom tier has a more simplified version of the task. Middle tier is working on grade level. And then your top tier, maybe they're ready for an extension of that reading task. Don't be afraid to eliminate pieces of an assignment for students, whether that's taking out whole questions or modifying the entire assignment to meet their needs. No one is saying you have to create 3 separate assignments, but it is great differentiation to tweak existing assignments to meet student needs. That way everyone feels successful and you get a great picture of what all your readers can do in the classroom. I told you 10 tips for reading differentiation, and I don't know about you, looking through my list, none of them are too terribly daunting and none of them are too terribly time consuming. That's what this is about, meeting your students' needs, predicting your students' needs, and then finding quick, easy ways to meet those needs in your classroom within those systems you already have in place. I know differentiation can be daunting and very heavy point worthy on Scrabble, but that's why we're here to help. I want to hear down in the comments from you guys, what are other differentiation ideas you have for the reading classroom? Do you want tips and tricks from us for differentiation in math or other subjects? Let me know down in the comments. As always, you know I have a resource for you. Something I want to share today are our reading units. We have 2nd and 3rd grade reading units. Now we do have bundles of these because it is full year-long resources for you, or you can pick and choose the individual units that you need for the skill that you're working on or whatever is coming up. These are fantastic units because they truly have everything you need built right in. Lessons, lesson plans, anchor charts, student principles, assessment tools, the centers, everything that you need, and differentiation is built right in. The texts come on different reading levels, suggestions, tips, and tricks for you to assess your students and differentiate along the way. You can give your students the choice within the centers for these. These reading units are fantastic. They're linked up in my cards and down in the description box. Head over to TPT to check these out. All right, thank you so much for watching today. I know this was a lot of information. I took notes. I hope you took notes. And as always, we hope you have a not so wimpy day.